Welcome to Conversations with Leaders in Luxury. I'm Greg Furman, founder and chairman of the Luxury Marketing Council. Since 1994, 1,000 luxury brands in 41 cities worldwide, some 5,000 CEOs and CMOs. Today I'm delighted to be with Robert Shereck, president and founder of Legacy Transformational Consulting. Just in the aftermath of a brilliant lunch, I might say, that we had with Robert, Giselle, who have kindly hosted for us today, and I'm delighted to be with them. Thank you all for the luxury of your company and the investment of your time. Robert, thank you so much for today. It was just great fun to be with you and learn a little bit more about your business. First tell us a little bit about where you grew up and what you studied, what got you into this business.
Okay, well, I born and raised in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Montreal, and I built a couple of electronic companies up in Canada, and then
when you say electronic companies, companies that did
semiconductors, you know, that were used in everything you could imagine.
As a natural-born entrepreneur, or as somebody that came out of a business environment?
No, a natural-born entrepreneur.
Really?
I mean, I grew up in a family that were entrepreneurs. My dad was a serial entrepreneur. Okay. I have 5 older brothers. Many of them are entrepreneurs.
So you're the youngest of 5?
5 older brothers.
6.
And I have a younger sister who was adopted, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So it was in your blood?
It really wasn't my blood.
And why ever electronics? Just because you saw opportunity in the market?
I started as a shipper at a very young age in a company, and
a job.
I had a job, and within a month, the owner of the company promoted me to the sales desk, and then from there I became his protege over time.
And you got to see just before we met with the GM of Davio's, and he was talking about how he started as a dishwasher.
Yeah.
So you started and saw the inner workings of the business, caught the eye of the patron, and boom.
And boom. I fell in love with, I loved how fast it was, the transactional part of it, and it was global. And it was an industry that was, and still is, insatiable.
And if I can say, when you saw this at what age?
17.
Yeah,
17 I started.
No, but you had this vision of it.
Oh, I had the vision of it when I was 19. It took me a couple of years.
Yeah, well, what took you so long?
Yeah, no, I was slow.
No, astonishing, right?
Yeah.
So you always had that bigger view.
Yeah.
And knew that looking at a business knew in your gut that looking at a business could take you somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
can I say you were born with that? I mean, how does someone get that?
I actually didn't like business. It wasn't like I liked business. You know, it's one of those things, it's not like, oh my God, business is everything. I love people.
Yes.
I love performance. I asked my dad, what do I need to know about business? He says, I'll tell you buy low, sell high, do it as many times as possible. And that really became the mantra of our business.
Of the electronics.
Of the electronics business.
But not just the electronics business.
Yeah, no, but it was it was fun.
So you rode the wave. Talk about how you rode the wave of that, and then that led directly to Legacy Transformational Consulting.
Yeah, it just before, when I was 25 years old, I was at our barber in the town of Mont Royal, where I was going for a haircut, and one day he said, you should speak to this customer of ours, our patron that comes here, and he's done something that I think you need to do. And I said, what is it? He says, I don't know, but he says, I'm gonna ask him this.
That's like my mother never figured out until the day she died what the heck I did for a business. So the barber knew it was a good connection, but he couldn't tell him why.
He couldn't tell me what it was.
But he had the feeling.
Had the feeling.
Good barber.
And then then 2 weeks later, Wolong called me and said, I've got this connected. I said, what's connected? I didn't even remember what he said. And I said, okay. He says, here's the number, here's the person, call him. He was the chairman, founder, and CEO of the largest retailer in Canada for maternity and large women. And I called him. I said, Mr. Coningsberg, Roland told me to call you. And he took my call right away. I mean, it went right through. I mean, he has thousands of people, at least maybe a couple thousand.
And were you still in the electronics business at that point in time?
That was literally just before I began. So it was at 19 I began to see, boy, this world of
Okay.
electronics is huge
Yes.
and growing rapidly, and everything was unfolding.
And I'm following your lead on the barber story. Is that connected to the electronics or connected to legacy?
No, it was connected to the electronics because it was out
Okay.
of that conversation.
Yes, okay.
When I met Max Konigsberg,
Yes.
and he spoke to me about transformation, I didn't know if he was talking about transportation. I never heard the word before. But I knew 2 hours
great.
into the conversation,
Right.
whatever the heck he was talking about, that's what I've been looking for my whole life. And it wasn't necessarily the electronics, but I needed a laboratory to start practicing this new learning of
So what was the
transformation.
bridge between an entrepreneur that moved into an industry that knew they wanted to buy low, sell high, and keep it tight from an administrative standpoint in the electronics side,
Right.
to the consulting side?
Well,
And where's the time window?
We started with $7.56 Canadian.
Right.
We started this company called Gyro Semiconductor. And as I said, it became a laboratory for what was possible in terms of performance.
So not only were you running, I love this, because not only were you running a story that was a business whose story was producing,
Yeah.
but in the back of your mind,
Yeah.
you were thinking about it already
Yeah.
from the standpoint of transformation and the dynamic of
Yeah.
business growth.
Exactly. I mean, I get, sometimes you get lucky with
I've
putting
been
things
there.
together.
I understand.
But like an artist, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's kind of
I
like,
understand.
I didn't have the painting quite completed, but I knew I was working on something.
But see, the artist and the entrepreneur have in common that they understand, appreciate, and don't dismiss accident,
Yes, that's right.
and take as an equivalency, I'm getting too philosophical, but take as a gift
Yeah,
insights into the creative and the practical.
that's right.
And you, at the time when you were rooted in the practical with the electronics business,
Yeah.
were already seeing
Yeah.
something more.
Yeah, I would bring in people that, in our industry, they would say,
Into your business.
into our business,
Yeah.
I would bring in people that people said were rejects in the industry. And I'd work with them.
When you were running the electronics
Yeah,
business.
I wanted to see, okay, well, let's see what this reject's all about. And this reject became a star. I mean, literally, a star performer.
That is wonderful.
Yeah. And I just love that. That was my favorite part.
So having sold, fast forward, and done okay with Giselle, your
Yeah.
spouse,
That's right.
on the electronics business, you, by design over a period of time, leveraged the learning
Yeah.
cycle into a business that was the thing that maybe fascinated you the most.
That's right.
So talk about that.
Well,
That-
1989,
Yes.
I was literally in a workshop with 150 other people, and I saw the end of my life. I wasn't threatened in any way. I just sitting there. I can't even explain how it happened. I just went, oh my God.
St. Paul, the electronics, fell off the horse and said, no more electronics.
I just saw that I was going to be fabulously
Not to
wealthy.
be flip, but
Fabulously wealthy and unfulfilled. And I said, and that's when I literally, in that moment, I got very clear, I'm out of the electronic business. I'm going to invest the rest of my life in discovering what is it going to take to not only transform businesses, but the leaders of businesses. And it all began with looking at leadership. That's how the whole thing began, was looking at leadership.
you know what? One of the things, we've just come out of a lunch, as I said, but one of the things I love about your story is like a lot of people would settle for being fabulously wealthy. Okay, now fulfilled, I'm not so concerned. But what you basically said was, okay, I've achieved that, and now I want to find another dimension and leverage that into where I really want to be. As I face,
We had some wealth. I wouldn't go fabulously
All
wealthy,
right, well,
but,
okay.
right? You know what I mean?
Forgive the hyperbole. So, better, as good as comfortable.
Fine.
Or better than comfortable.
Fine. Yeah. Yeah, we were in good shape.
Yeah. So having nurtured,
Yeah.
what's the right word? People that weren't appreciated
Yeah.
and understood how to uncover, nurture, watch their talent bloom.
Yeah. What happened? Well,
You saw that because you did it.
totally. Now, it's one thing when you own the company
Yeah,
and you write the checks.
yes,
It's another thing when you have no authority
Right.
and you're working with people that you're now, let's call it consulting or coaching or whatever.
yes,
You get it? And they're
Yes.
paying you,
yes,
right? So I have no authority in their enterprise.
yes,
And now I've got to cause something to happen.
yes,
Starting usually with, we started with a very small company. In fact, Giselle, my wife, said, You want to work with this person? He's the most disgusting one I've ever met. I said, perfect. That's exactly who I want to work with.
Right.
Because if
Right.
it's possible with this guy,
right.
imagine what's possible in the world. And I was ready to fail with him. And I don't know what I would have done if I would have failed, but what happened was, within 1 year, this guy, so it took him 10 years to get to a certain level. In 1 year, he doubled sales and profitability while cleaning up his integrity. And Giselle was right. It was
In the mind of the
disgusting.
mother corporation.
He owned it. He owned it.
But, okay,
This was a small company.
Yes, okay.
We had no reputation.
Right, okay.
Right? I have no credentials. I owned a company, so what? Or two companies, so what? But I had no credentials for what I was doing.
well, your credentials were the knowledge of having proved it to yourself in the context of your own business.
That was enough to get in the door.
Well, I'm not being trite,
Yeah.
having been on the agency side, but it's not just knowledge, it's the experience
That's
of knowing it can be done.
Yeah.
Which is not just can't,
Yeah.
it's not just verbal promise.
Yeah.
It's not just promotion.
Yeah.
It's the authority of your having achieved it as you face a corporation, even if they are doubting Thomases.
Exactly. Yep.
So-
This guy, Peter, said, okay.
What year are we in now?
This was 1989. Exactly when we sold the company is when we started.
All right, so then take us fast forward.
Yeah. So started with small, then medium, public, really in trouble companies. I mean, like literally, here a public company that had 1,700 people, 3 months of cash left, no more bank loan. The stock price plummeted from the 20s down to $1.56. I remember the exact number. It was like nothing, and no hope. And the biggest competitors in the world, just feeding them alive.
the biggest
yeah,
competitor.
like Microsoft, was their competitor. It was like, forget it. And within 12 months, turned around. I watched their stock price go from $1.56 to over $100.
In
2 years. 2 years, yeah.
And using a similar style.
It also
of-
came down a little bit, then
Yeah, well,
bounced.
that would always be the case, but
Yeah.
using the methodology of finding individual, unacknowledged champions that, given the right permission,
Good way to say it,
can
yeah.
enliven and elevate the performance of it.
Yeah.
Infect a corporation
Yeah.
with an energy of success.
Yeah, well, and there were some people that literally pulled themselves out. Because
I mean, just didn't want to have any part of it.
I remember.
Didn't
that-
believe in it.
Well, they weren't well. I remember one guy in that company
Right.
with
Even worse than
1,700.
that, like just were being killed by it.
He wasn't well. This guy was the head of all engineering and he wasn't well. And I said, listen, you can't get the job done.
Right.
You're not well. I'll give you a week to either tell your CEO what's going on or I will. And not that I'm threatening you.
No, I understand.
It's not good for you. It's
It's
not
not.
good for the enterprise. So we began to take a look at what's not working in the enterprise. And I don't have like a formula. I just look at and have people look at what from the past is blocking us.
Yeah, we had, during our lunch today, a woman that runs Aspire Lifestyle, which is a multinational, after you talked as the way you just have, said to you, what would be the question we sitting around the table should ask? And you said,
Keep looking at what's not working in your organization,
Yeah.
your enterprise.
deceptively simple question.
Yeah, not so simple.
Talk around that a little bit as to the implications for an organization that are in trouble.
Yeah, so if an organization's in trouble, there has to be...
Or aspiring to be better.
Either way, okay. So if an organization is aspiring to be better, then they have to begin to take a look at what's the past that they have. Everybody's got a past, every organization has a past. So they've got to look at this past. What most of us do, kind of like if I held this up, for example, and let's say this is the past. Let's say it's 20 years of past. Okay, if that's the past, this is the present. What we do as human beings, we look from the present into the past, and then we say, you know what, let's make the future better. So we start to do things to make the future better. And then we say, you know what, let's make the future different from the past. So now we're doing things to make the future different from the past. And then we say, you know, there's some things in the past that were pretty good, let's do more of it. What you end up with is an umbilical cord that has now attached the past to the future. All you could get is
I've got this image
incremental.
in my mind of an astronaut in outer space and tethered to the mothership
Yeah, exactly.
in the void.
Exactly. So, but that's really good. I mean, that's exactly what it is. So what we do is we don't work on fixing that. Transformation, the way I like using that term, is transformation happens when nothing changes, yet everything is altered. So in days, not in weeks or months, in days, there's a beginning of a transformation of that past, and that attached umbilical cord future goes behind people's heads. You got it? And then well, what's in front of you? Some open space. Now, as an artist, what can you do with a blank canvas?
And the metrics of your results are, you'll say them better than I. We're having another evening tonight where we're going to be talking again, but in terms of profit and performance, you can better articulate them than I.
For a small company, wow, if you could increase sales by 15% in a year when their track record is 10, people would be ecstatic. We say, what would be a breakthrough? I mean, maybe you'll get that anyways. And they would go, how about doubling sales in a year and doubling profit? That's not going to be by accident. Great. And it happens. Then they go, hey, in fact, this guy said, hey, let's do double again. So we did it again the next year. Go double sales and profits again in the next year. Now he's beginning to have a culture that doubling, that's what we do.
And we had said that, you've worked with multi-billion-dollar corporations and multi-million-dollar corporations, and one of the reasons the topic came up was because, many of the luxury brands, once you move outside of the big holding companies, Richemont, Gucci Group, Kering, et cetera, are not maybe multi-$100 million, $500 million, or maybe 60 to 150 million. But this process that you bring to the table is equally viable for smaller companies, irrespective of industry segment.
That's where it was born from. Small,
exactly.
Then medium, large, global. Yeah, it was born from the small.
And your scope in terms of your presence, global, virtual,
we're
based in
Reno, Nevada, and we've worked now in 60 countries.
But
we're not a global company per se. We do a lot of traveling.
You're global on demand as takes you global.
No, exactly.
And want to keep it by design.
For now.
Okay.
We're actually looking at something way beyond that of connecting like-minded people, because if you're up to something, you're not alone on this planet.
Right.
So we're looking at like-minded people and seeing what can we invent that takes it to a whole other level.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
What's your definition of luxury personally?
Abundance and ease.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you do to decompress and find your center?
Detail my cars.
You're a car guy.
I am a car guy.
Okay.
Yeah. And I look at cars online. I just love it. And I buy
my
way
nephew
too many of them.
and the Luxury Marketing Council CEO, Chris Olshan, is a great car guy.
Oh, great. Great.
Well, listen, this has been a treat. Thank you so much for hosting the lunch, and Giselle for hosting the lunch today. It was, I can't remember a better one in a long time.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate the connection. I want to pursue your expansion ideas together, which we will do, maybe over dinner tonight.
Great.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us, for the investment of your time and the luxury of your company, with also thanks to Robert Shereck, President and founder of Legacy Transformational Consulting. See you next time.